Crime reconstruction as word of more arrests in kidnapping case. Parties campaign ahead of Britain's parliamentary elections. And a gunman killed in a Texas shooting was on the FBI watch list. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. New developments to tell you about tonight in a local $30 million kidnapping and robbery case. Police say other suspects may still be at large. 5 suspects have been arrested so far, and police have begun the process of crime scene reconstruction. Evelina Lung reports.
The police first brought the suspect to Aitken village this morning. An interpreter was provided for the man who, according to sources, is a two-way permit holder from Guizhou province on the mainland. Dressed in all black and wearing flip-flops, the suspect's face remained hidden. His hands were handcuffed to a chain around his waist. A short while later, officers led the suspect to the Aitken wet market. It's believed that the man had been here before to buy food. Then the group moved to the Choi Hong MTR station. Sources say the suspect had gone into a shop in the station to buy food and water for the 29-year-old female who was kidnapped during a robbery at her home late last month. At around noon, police took the suspect to Pakshet Wo Shan Chun near Clearwater Bay Road. The police blocked off one traffic lane and remained there for around half an hour. Next, the suspect was taken to Kamshu Road nearby. The group then went to an area outside Pig Oak Prison and Pingshet Estate before returning to Wong Tai Sin Police Station. The robbery and kidnapping case happened at the end of last month. 6 Putonghua-speaking men entered the house on Kamshu Road and stole $2 million worth of valuables and then kidnapped the 29-year-old female resident. She was released after her family paid a ransom of $28 million. Sources say the suspect, surnamed Zhang, is 29 years old. He was arrested at the Lowu border checkpoint on Sunday night when he tried to return to the mainland. Evelyn Lang, TVB News.
A senior citizen who faked ID documents to get work as a security guard lost a review of his 4-month prison sentence today. Diane Tell reports.
Xi Jiaozhen had earlier pleaded guilty at Tumun Magistracy to 7 charges against him surrounding his use of fraudulent means to get work. The court earlier heard the 73-year-old used fake identity documents that he bought in Shenzhen to work as a security guard at 3 property management companies. The forged ID cards state he is under 65 years of age. Through this, he earned a total of $540,000 over 7 years, until the police found discrepancies in his documents during a routine check and arrested him last year. Senior counsel Qing Huan, who volunteered to help him fight a sentence, told the court the defendant has already learned a bitter lesson. He said the elderly man, who has heart and kidney problems, has deteriorated physically since he was remanded over a month ago. He added that the defendant's 66-year-old wife is also not well and needs to be cared for. The defense team had 300 mitigation letters to submit, but the magistrate said that would be an act similar to a protest and did not accept the letters. Acting Principal Magistrate Li Wai-chi, who handed down the original sentence, said any person with a fake Hong Kong ID card is committing a serious offence. He insisted the 4-month sentence was already lenient compared with similar cases, and said he did not understand why there has been such public outrage. Xi's legal representative, Alvin Yeung, said the defense team will study the case to see whether to take the fight a further step. He said it, of course, comes down to what his defendant wishes to do. Diane To, TVB News.
Another food scandal is brewing in Taiwan. Several teas from the island's chain drinks shops have been found to contain pesticide residues. Some of the stores have branches in Hong Kong, but local authorities say so far no problems have been reported here. The Secretary for Food and Health insists his office is working with Taiwan food safety authorities. Going Man says none of the tainted products have been found in Hong Kong, but inspections are being stepped up. The latest to be caught in the scandal is the 10 Ren tea, whose Hong Kong staff say they are still selling all their teas while they await instructions from Taiwan. Other tea shops found to have some teas with pesticide residues include Coffee Alley and Stornoway. Elsewhere tonight, Britain's rival political party leaders are scrambling to win over undecided voters ahead of Thursday's national election. It's shaping up to be Britain's closest election contest in decades.
Polls show Britain's two mainstream political parties, the ruling Conservatives and the opposition Labour Party, running neck and neck. With neither leader on track to win control of the House of Commons on their own, both men are scrambling to woo undecided voters.
In these closing hours of this campaign, you can make all the difference with our country moving forward, not going backwards with Ed Miliband and the SNP. That's what it's about.
Let's elect a Labour government and make this country work for working people. Once again, thank you very much.
Hello.
Nick Clegg, the leader of the left of centre Liberal Democrats, was once hailed as the most popular leader since Winston Churchill. But he and his party are heading for an election disaster after they partnered in a coalition with the ruling Conservative Party. The decision backfired when the Conservatives announced they would triple university tuition fees. The prospect of Britain heading towards a hung parliament is fueling uncertainty about the country's future in the European Union. If re-elected, Cameron has promised to hold a referendum on EU membership in 2017. The pledge has prompted a note of caution from the European Commission.
I want a fair deal with Britain, but Britain is not in a situation to impose its exclusive agenda to all the other member states of Europe.
Meanwhile, the growth of smaller parties like the Scottish National Party, which lost an independence referendum last year, is generating continued uncertainty about Scotland's place in the United Kingdom. If neither of the two main parties is able to form an absolute majority in Parliament on Thursday, they may be forced to strike alliances with smaller parties afterwards. It would be another indication that the decades-old grip on power by the two main parties has been permanently weakened.
More details are emerging about the two gunmen who were shot dead by Texas police at a Prophet Muhammad cartoon contest on Sunday night. As authorities investigate what they believe was a deliberate act of terror, both men have been identified, and at least one was already on the FBI watch list. Sonia Artero reports.
The car the gunman used to open fire at the anti-Muslim event in Garland, Texas, was detonated by police to destroy any potential explosives. They did so because one of the suspects, Elton Simpson, was being watched by the FBI for possible terror links. Authorities went straight to his Phoenix, Arizona apartment that Simpson shared with the other suspect, Nadir Sufi.
We started hearing banging. It sounded like sledgehammers. There was several different guys that came over and were trying to cut into the door.
Residents were evacuated from the two-story building to ensure no bombs were planted inside. Turns out that Simpson was convicted in 2006 of lying to federal agents about his travel plans to Somalia. His lawyer believes he was flagged because he was a devout Muslim.
I think that they could have had a reason to at least start investigating him. He was very devout. I mean, I know that some of the statements that he made were, you know, if you die on the battlefield, then, or you get the wives and things like that. But I think you hear that out of a lot of people. I mean, that's a belief of the Muslim faith.
She thinks he must have snapped because he never showed a mean streak.
I never saw any indications that he was violent.
But witnesses say both suspects exhibited the worst kind of violence when they used automatic rifles to vent their anger outside the Prophet Muhammad cartoon contest. Those representing American Islamic relations say holding an anti-Muslim event gives no one the right to launch an attack. The city of Garland is lauding the traffic officer that fatally shot the suspect, saying he saved many lives. They also admit they permitted the anti-Muslim event, even though they knew it might provoke an attack. Sonia Artero, TVB News.
Retired neurosurgeon Ben Carson has announced he's running for U.S. president. Carson is popular with the conservative Tea Party movement. He won support for advocating for a flat tax, private medical savings accounts, and other conservative policies at a national prayer breakfast attended by President Barack Obama. He earned a reputation as a top doctor at Johns Hopkins Medical Center in Baltimore and was the first doctor to successfully separate twins conjoined at the head. He is the first African American to enter the now crowded Republican field for the party's presidential nomination next year. Back locally, Hong Kong residents could soon be traveling abroad with new high-tech passports. If approved by the Legislative Council, the first batch of these new passports could be in use by 2019. Liz Yoon has details.
The new generation of e-passports will have the latest security features, such as transparent pages and multicolor UV prints. Transparent pages shouldn't be new to Hong Kong, as the city's $10 banknotes have a transparent front. Hong Kong's existing e-passports were rolled out in 2007, but they may become obsolete in 2 years' time. The Security Bureau says it has seen a substantial growth in the number of passport applications over the past 9 years. By 2023, the application numbers are expected to reach 936,000. In the last 3 years, passport printing machines have reportedly been overused, leading to serious wear and tear.
The government says it sees a need to adopt the new system, as it fears failure of the current system may lead to a halt in passport application procedures and production.
When asked whether commercial organizations are reliable for printing passports, Ngai Sik Shui, chairman of the Immigration Service Officers Association, reassured that the selected printing company has to sign a non-disclosure agreement with the government. The government adopts very high standards in the tendering process, Ngai said. A high level of confidentiality is maintained. The Security Bureau is expected to seek funding approval from LegCo's Finance Committee in the fourth quarter this year. Liz Yun, TVB News.
The government is planning to put its political reform package to the vote at the Legislative Council before the summer break in July. The Civil Human Rights Front is going to call on protesters to surround the LegCo complex during the vote to show their disapproval of the reform proposals. As Radi Samtani reports, some lawmakers are worried that whether the new security measures adopted at the legislature are adequate to maintain order.
The Legislative Council implemented new security measures this month. All visitors have to go through security checks when entering the building. LegCo staff and reporters will be screened in emergency situations. Speaking to TVB, Daisy Chan, convener of the Civil Human Rights Front, said she expects hundreds of thousands of people will gather outside LegCo when lawmakers vote on the reform package.
There's some chance that the outcome will become another Occupy movement. However, in the current situation that the Pan-Democrats promised to veto the political reform, I think the assembly should be as peaceful and used to gather the biggest support to